You want to be financially free in 2025. I'm going to tell you all the tips that I've been using to actually become more financially free, see more money in my bank account, and the things that I use to pay off my debts in order to actually retire early. We're going to be doing money and makeup with Robin. If you clicked on this video, I get why you're here. You're trying to figure out, how do I keep my money in my bank account in 2025? My first tip would be to use a budget. Girl, I don't have any money. How am I going to budget? That is especially why a budget is important. It helps you to see where you're spending your money. There's a particular rule that you'll often hear to follow, and it's the 50-30-20 rule. And basically it means 50 goes to your needs, 30 goes to your wants, and 20 goes to your savings or your debts. Things like rent payment, those are your needs, so that would be included in the 50. In the 30, your wants. So let us say you need to do some clothes shopping, that's your wants. And debt repayment, savings, that's your 20%. This 50-30-20 rule isn't stuck in stone. You can adjust it to fit your needs and your budget. That way you're able to see where your money is going, and you can actually attack the goals that you really need to attack. So let us say one of your main goals is to pay off your credit card. This would be the perfect way for you to see how much money you're making, what your expenses entail, and how much you could put to your credit card monthly in order to get it paid off. So the second tip, and I know you've heard this often, is to cancel those unused subscriptions. It has caught me many times too, where I completely forgot that I had a subscription going, and when the charge pulled out of my account, I was like, wait, I was not prepared, or I was not expecting that. New subscriptions can cost you even up to hundreds of dollars a month. We're going to actually cancel those subscriptions immediately when we get it. And for some of them, you could downgrade them. You don't need to pay for 5 screens. You could only pay for 1 screen because you're the only person using it. Companies bank on you forgetting that you actually have the subscription and them collecting that money every single month. Another thing that is so important, and I think it's not talked about enough, especially with social media apps, is shopping with a list. When you go into the store, it's already important to have a list of the things that you're in the store to pick up. Otherwise, you're going in there, you're browsing, spending longer than you budgeted to, and you see stuff that you think, oh, I definitely have to have that, when you didn't even really need it. A trick that stores use is to put the really good stuff, the things that are going to catch your attention, at eye level. That way, when you're walking through the aisles, what do you see? The product that you don't need, you want it. Obviously, there can be flexibilities in the budget. I'm not saying, oh, be so tight where you can't get a candy if you want it. Have a list in mind. Have a specific budget that you're working with when going into these stores, so you know what not to get or what you're willing to get in that budget. It takes so much discipline to actually allow the money to sit in your account, and it's very hard because we need stuff every single day, especially with social media. There are always new things coming out. There's something you want to try, there's something you forgot you needed, there's something that it says it's going to make your life better. And so it's so easy to spend the money that you do not have or you don't want to spend. The next thing that, to be honest, I'm actually still working on is meal prepping at home. Sometimes you get those groceries, and right after getting those groceries, you buy something to eat because you're like, well, I just spent the day shopping, I'm tired, I need to order something out. And that's why meal prepping is so important, because first, you already have the groceries at home, and two, it saves you so much money. Now, fast food costs add up. They add so much additional expense to your budget that you could have put that to something else that, you know, you actually needed. Cash spending. So in order to actually pace yourself in how much you're spending, use cash. Tap is very tricky because Tap has us tapping our way through life, forgetting that we're actually spending money and it's not fake. When you actually withdraw a certain amount of money from the ATM, you're actually setting yourself up to discipline yourself. Only pull 100, all you have to spend is 100. The thing to do is to get rid of those cards on Apple Pay. I've done it, and to be honest, it's a life changer. Ever since I deleted those cards, especially those credit cards, from my Apple Pay, I find myself only spending what's in my bank account. And now what I realize is that I'm more conscious of, hey, do I really want to spend this money? the next thing to actually see more money is to pay off those debts. And I know that is a tricky topic, because if you have debt, it's like, where should I get the money from to pay off these debts? But again, we're going back to the word discipline. It takes discipline to actually pay those debts off so that you could see more money. You're putting $1,000 a month to your debts. Once you pay off those debts, now you have $1,000 extra to put into your wants category. The thing that you'll hear people always talk about is to build an emergency fund. Big question is, how much do I keep in my emergency fund? And that's a very good question. For some people, an emergency fund is $1,000. For other people, an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. In a perfect situation, having 6 months worth of expenses would be ideal. That way, you know, if anything arises, you should be able to sustain yourself for at least 6 months. But let's get real here. We're talking about real life. Like, people don't really have 6 months worth of expenses sitting in their bank account just waiting to be spent. The first step is to actually try to save $1,000. It's hard, especially if you have a lot of debts and the cost of your needs are very, very high in comparison to your income. But we're gonna take it slow. Don't rush to save $1,000, even though that would be important. But you're gonna just revert to spending $1,000 again, and then it's a never-ending cycle of you never having an emergency savings. We're gonna take it slow. So even if it's $50 out of your paycheck, $20 weekly, bi-weekly, that way you could build it over time. Also, put that money in an account that is not within your sight. Listen, out of sight, out of mind. And on that note, we have to learn how to automate our savings. How is it going to be out of sight, out of mind if I'm the one putting the money in there and I'm the one looking at it to see how much that account has grown? So what you're gonna do is get a separate savings account, preferably a high yield savings account. But if you don't want to get a high yield savings account just yet, you could use a separate bank account just to save that money in, you know. For quick use, you could probably use an Apple Card if you're not like using your Apple Card a lot. But just make sure that wherever you choose to put that emergency saving fund in, it is not an account that you're going to be using very regular. I think another tip that is so important that is not talked about often enough is what we do with the money when we get our tax refunds. We file taxes annually. Some of us, we get back the extra money that we paid, and the first thought is to go to Red Lobster to order the lobster, or go to Juicy Crab to order the whole sea. Give me a little leeway. What if we actually put 75% of that money on a debt, on a bill that's been haunting us, on something that needs to get paid on our credit card, towards a house or towards a car payment? Think about how much more money you would have per month if you just made the extra effort to put that money one time. Last tip is the 24-hour rule. So it's really spending at least 24 hours before making a non-essential purchase. I know we see that blush online that we want to get and it's like, gotta get it now. But how about we pause 24 hours to see if we really need it? And that's how we're actually going to be able to save some money, by cutting down on the non-essential purchases. If you're anything like me, then you're into probably skincare or makeup. But something that I've practiced for a very long time is not buying something if it's not done. So if my blush isn't done, I'm not buying another one until it's done. Sometimes, you know, especially with TikTok, you want to try the latest products. I've been there, I've done that. I promise you, I have a few things in my shopping cart right now that I'm contemplating getting, you know. And so identifying what those wants are versus what those needs are very important. And don't think I'm such a disciplinarian, guys. I love fast food. I love the convenience of just going out to eat, of just picking up my food. So I promise you that we're in this together. And don't overdo it now. I feel like we all know this, but really pay yourself, treat yourself, reward yourself. Having the discipline to actually stick to these financial limitations, to stick to these goals, to stick to these restrictions, it's hard. And especially with life, like sometimes we just need that one purchase that's just gonna make us smile, even if it's for 5 minutes. If we want to reach the financial goals that we want, whether it is to retire at 40 or to buy a house or to buy a new car, or whatever your goal may be. Even though we have to treat ourselves, we also have to learn how to actually live below our means. Not within our means, but below our means. Spending way less than you actually need to is the key. I know you're probably gonna say, but if I make more money, I don't have to. Yeah, that is true. But why do you think there are so many people who actually have money who are broke? Because they're living within their means and they're spending more than eventually they actually have. All done with my makeup. So guys, this was a very fun segment to actually film. It's very different from the content that I typically film. I want to get to financial freedom, and as part of the community, I want you to get to financial freedom, because listen, it's each one help one. Now, I am no expert when it comes on to financial stuff. These are just some of the tips that I've been working on in order to actually see more money monthly, in order to actually retire very early. Because the truth is, I don't want to be working until I'm 75. I want to be able to retire early. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to actually leave them down in the comment section below. I love y'all so much. Bye.